Hey there, I'm Anthony Romano, and this video is going to tell you what to do if you're hungry all the time. Okay, now there is a very clear reason as to why people get hungry all the time, and not many people speak about it, especially not in the sort of fitness context. And the primary reason is from excess blood sugar and excess insulin. And I'm going to explain to you how to fix this problem because so many people are just hungry all day long, and whether they're doing a calorie approach or something, they're just worried about eating less when they're not able to get rid of this hunger, and that is a big problem.
I'm just saying, I feel bad for people who count calories. It's no way to live.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain that in this video, and if you can like the video, that will make YouTube show my videos to more people, and that's what you can do to help me grow my page. Also, check out my upcoming programs that are dropping on my website, romanoketo.com. Subscribe to me here and follow me on Instagram, and, enjoy the video. So, if you are hungry all the time, one of two things has caused this. You have a history of high carbohydrate dieting, or you have a history of overeating. Now, granted, you might be doing that currently, or you might have done it in the past, which has caused you to become insulin resistant. And what that basically means is your body no longer has an efficient ability to use fuel coming in, so it constantly requires you to eat more. Okay? Doing more of something reduces your sensitivity to it. So the more you overeat sugar and carbs, the more your body loses its ability to use it efficiently and essentially requires you to eat more food. So, especially in the bodybuilding and fitness context, most people, if they're coming from a high carb diet or an overeating calorie-wise diet, what's going to happen is once they start to cut down the calories, once they start to limit their intake, try to lose weight or something, their body is still going to require fuel because in the past, even though they've lowered their intake now, their body is so used to that previous lifestyle.
Sometimes I think there's a monster who lives in my stomach, and that's why I'm hungry all the time.
My remedy for this is essentially one of three strategies, and they're increasing in their intensity and their effectiveness as I name them. The first one is intermittent fasting. Okay, intermittent fasting allows you to go longer spans of time without eating, yet you can still consume the same amounts of calories and food. This, of course, is going to allow your blood sugar and blood insulin to stabilize a bit more, which can reduce those effects and basically cause you to be a little bit more insulin sensitive. The next level is ketogenic dieting. Ketogenic dieting and fasting are the same state. Whenever you don't eat carbohydrates, which is all that's required for keto, it's not dumping butter on everything, you are entering the ketogenic state whenever you cut out carbs. So if you don't eat anything, you are technically not eating carbs. So intermittent fasting is still allowing that sort of blood sugar and insulin stabilization. Keto allows it a little bit more, but it allows you to eat at the same time. And then prolonged fasting is the third and most intense remedy to this problem, which will allow your body to really adapt and sort of cause that sort of massive blood sugar insulin stabilization. Now, granted, it's not going to be an overnight fix if you prolong fast. And in my opinion, the most effective manner is the ketogenic dieting. And the easiest way into the pool, the easiest way to dip your toes in the water is intermittent fasting. But the most effective one in the long run, in my opinion, is keto, with a mix of the other two strategies, because this is the one that is the easiest to adhere to. You still get to eat food, you still get to eat calories. In a lot of cases, people actually get to eat more calories in their maintenance at first because their body is not used to having, such a drop in insulin, which is the fat storage hormone, which basically allows your body to receive a lot of energy without a lot of the fat storage hormone being spiked. So this may contradict a lot of the beliefs you may have about how fat loss works, because a lot of people only look at fat loss as a quantitative analysis. They look at it as total energy, and if I just consume less, there will be more demand on my body to use its own energy. But here's the thing, that doesn't necessarily entail what sources your body's going to pull the energy from. It doesn't necessarily mean you're only going to take it from fat stores, okay? One of the primary indicators that will allow this is a down regulation of insulin. So this is why it's not just quantitative, it's qualitative. We're looking at the quality of the foods you're eating, not simply the total quantity. Now, granted, that, losing fat on keto or fasting or prolonged fasting without counting calories eventually hits a wall, because your body's eventually going to reach homeostasis and balance things out, and you will have to further reduce your calories. But it's absolutely not that you just lose water weight or that it only works for the first week. You will lose massive amounts of body fat if you incorporate these strategies. But the primary, solution here is you need to rid your body of sugar dependence. And it's that constant need for sugar that eventually causes your blood sugar spikes to be more volatile. So if you're eating sugar all the time, for example, or overeating lots of food and sugar all the time, your blood sugar is going to skyrocket and then crash. And once you're in the bottom of that trough, that's when you're going to be hungry again, because your body needs to equalize and get up, raise that blood sugar again. So besides the fact that keto is absolutely the best appetite suppressant diet out there, the main takeaway here is that in some way you have to start integrating these sort of sugar restricting strategies, and perhaps even food restricting strategies if you go all the way to prolonged fasting, in order to restabilize that blood sugar and insulin and regain that sort of ability where you aren't just perpetually hungry all the time. If this is something you've known for years and just accepted, it is not something you have to live with. It is very easy to sort of stabilize things. And one thing I always explain with my keto, more, specifically keto science oriented videos, is in an evolutionary context, half of the year carbohydrates don't grow. And unless you're in a certain part of the world where they grow for a little bit longer, you're generally not going to have them year round. And you also won't have preservatives in them that cause them to last longer. And you can't ship them over from Guadalajara where they are in season. They simply are not there for half the year. Sugar sources, they're not. Agriculture is our primary source of carbohydrate fuel, and it's not available half the year. So during those winter months, thousands of years ago, there was no way people were getting sugar in. Our body, our metabolism is seasonal, just like everything else in the world. And there are these natural checks and balances that take place where if you lived thousands of years ago, you wouldn't have been hungry all the time, because every year you would have had some sort of span of carbohydrate restriction, of food restriction, which causes your body to have that sensitivity again to the point where you are no longer just perpetually craving food and you're gnawing your arm off at nighttime. It simply does not happen anymore. So that is, again, the sort of logical evolutionary implication here, because we know even if thousands of years ago, we know that we didn't have the technology to do these things with our agricultural practices. And besides the fact that a lot of our agriculture has resulted in foods that are higher carbohydrate. Okay, back thousands of years ago, the carbohydrate sources we actually did have weren't going to spike your blood sugar as much as they do today. They've been modified over years of human agricultural engineering. And just from the results of the foods that we preferred to eat, okay? If you were a farmer 100-something years ago and you had two crops, one which was producing more sugar, you would eat that and you would have a higher blood sugar response, more dopamine response to it, and you would continue to plant, in the same manner you did to produce that plant. Okay, so a lot of it is, simple, indulgences that humanity has taken over time. So that essentially has led us to where we are today, and this is why you have to incorporate some sort of carbohydrate or, hormonal restriction rather than simply just a quantitative restriction in order to get past this. Okay, it's not just about lowering your calories, because you're still going to be just as insensitive to insulin when you do it that way. Granted, lowering your calories, exercising more will still increase that insulin sensitivity, but the more advanced way, the more powerful way to do it is to take advantage of the qualitative side of the coin, the hormonal side of the coin, and cut it off at the source and get your body to rid its dependence of sugar. That is it for this video. Subscribe. Also follow me on Instagram and like the video. I'm Anthony Romano. Peace.